Let's do one more example before I give you some exercises to work. Let's do one that has fractions throughout the whole expression. Isn't this lovely? We have 5/16 subtract 5/12 in parentheses, divided by, in the next set of parentheses, 1/2 subtract 2/3, outside those parentheses, exponent 2. Where do we begin? We must begin inside the parentheses. Inside the parentheses we have subtract. We need to change that subtract to add the opposite. Inside the second set of parentheses, the same thing. So let's change each of those to add the opposite. 5/16 add -5/12. 1/2 add -2/3. Inside each set of parentheses, we keep the divided by symbol connecting the parentheses. We keep the exponent 2 outside the second set of parentheses. Now we must add the fractions inside the parentheses. To add fractions, we must find a common denominator. The common denominator for 16 and 12 is not terribly easy to think up. Let me show you a way you can come up with a common denominator when the numbers are not really obvious. There are several ways to find a common denominator, but my favorite is the following. Take the larger of the denominators, which is 16, and then multiply 16 times 1, and we get 16. Will 12 divide 16 without a remainder? No, therefore 16 won't do the job. Let's keep going. 16 times 2 is 32. Will 12 divide 32 without a remainder? No, so let's keep going. 16 times 3. 16 times 3 is 48. Will 12 divide 48 without a remainder? Yes, it will. 12 divides 48, giving us 4. Therefore, 48 is the least common denominator for 16 and 12. So, our common denominator of 48 will be used for the first set of parentheses. The numerators must be changed. We divide 16 into 48, and that gives us 3, clearly. 3 times 5 will be 15. So the first numerator will be 15, so we get 15 48ths. 12 divides 48, giving us 4. 4 times -5 is -20. And so in the first set of parentheses, we get 15 48ths plus -20 48ths. For the second set of parentheses, the common denominator is much easier to grasp. It's 6. This is one you've used over and over, so you probably can get it very easily. Common denominator 6. 2 divides 6 3 times, and so 1/2 converts to 3/6. 3 divides 6 2 times. 2 times -2 is -4. So -2/3 converts to -4/6. We still haven't finished what's inside the parentheses. So we must add 15 and -20 to get -5. We must add 3 and -4 to get -1. And so we get -5 48ths plus -1/6. Did I say plus? I certainly don't mean that. -5 48ths divided by -1/6 squared. Now, we finished what's inside each set of parentheses. We now have divide and exponent, which is done first. It's the exponent's turn. We square the -1/6 by multiplying -1/6 times -1/6, and that gives us positive 1/36. Now we have to divide fractions. To divide fractions, we take the reciprocal of the second one and multiply. And so we get -5 48ths times 36/1. Negative 5/48 times 36 over 1. When there is a common factor that can be divided out, it's smart to do so. For 48 and 36, we have a common factor of 2. We have a common factor of 3. We have a common factor of 6. Our best common factor is 12. 12 divides 48, giving us 4. 12 divides 36, giving us 3. And so we multiply negative 5 times 3 to get 15, and 4 times 1 to get 4. That means our result is negative 15 over 4. Once again, we have an improper fraction, and if you prefer to write a mixed number, you can write negative 3 3/4. Now at last, you're ready to work some exercises. I've given you 4 exercises. The first caution I have is make sure you copy these down correctly. If you make a mistake in copying it down, there's absolutely no way you'll get the right answer. So let me read them out to you, and you copy them absolutely correctly. Exercise number 1. Above a fraction bar, in parentheses, negative 19. Then add, then in another set of parentheses, negative 2. Below the fraction bar, 6 to the power 2, subtract 30. Then, after the fraction, divided by, in parentheses, 2 subtract 4. For exercise number 2, the opposite of 3 squared, subtract 2, bracket, 5 subtract, parenthesis, 8 subtract 10, close the parentheses, close the brackets. Exercise 3, in parentheses, 3/16, subtract 5/4. In a second set of parentheses, 2/3. Outside that second set of parentheses, exponent 2. Finally, exercise 4, 8 plus 3, bracket, 6 2/10, 6.2, subtract, parenthesis, 5 subtract 7 2/100, 7.02. Close the parentheses, close the brackets. Make sure you have all of these copied down correctly. Let's see if I can get them all on the screen. Yes, just barely. Make sure you have them all copied down correctly. Then stop the tape, work the problems, restart the tape, and check your answers. Your answers should be, for number 1, 7/4, for number 2, negative 23, for number 3, negative 17 over 36, and for number 4, 32 66/100, 32.66. If you made mistakes, mark the problems on your paper, Try to correct them yourself. If you still have trouble with them, be sure to ask a tutor or a lab instructor when you go to the lab. This concludes math tape number 055.